Watching what's hot on CNBC TV 18, the rupee has fallen to a record low on increasing signs of a deepening global economic slump. The currency fell as much as 0.5% to an all-time low of 52.18 dollar before finally closing at 51.98. On what's hot tonight, we ask, will the rupee slip even further? To discuss this, we've got with us A.V. Rajwade and also with us Subhash Mittal, the convener of FEO, that's the Federation of Exporters. Many thanks, gentlemen, for joining us. Mr. Rajwade, let me come to you. What is your estimate now? Because we've been hearing all sorts of figures through the morning, 54, perhaps even higher than that. What are you pegging the rupee at least in the next 1 month?
Well, firstly, I must confess that I think I am a bit surprised at the scale of the fall of the rupee. Perhaps it has been overdone because normally in the Q4, the last quarter of a fiscal year, the current account flows are pretty good. In fact, for several years now, we are seeing a sharp improvement in the flows in the last quarter. We have also seen that in January, the trade deficit has actually dropped. So one is a bit surprised. As far as the level is concerned, I think there is no way really to predict at what level it could reach or what level it could stabilize. I don't think that there is any logical or rational way to predict that. I think the key really is at what point of time the central bank decides that enough is enough and intervenes in sufficient strength to arrest the fall. Because there does seem to be a gap in demand and supply, but as I said, normally it is not very much in the last quarter of the fiscal year.
Mr. Rajwade, very specifically, what do you expect the central bank to do at this point in time? Do you expect the intervention to increase if this slide is going to be so relentless?
Well, perhaps not so soon. Maybe because, all the other Asian currencies are also falling against the dollar, except, of course, the Chinese yuan. Every other currency, whether the Korean won or the baht or the ringgit or the Indonesian rupiah, even the Japanese yen has dropped very sharply in the last couple of weeks. So I think from the angle of Asian currency perspective, this fall is in parallel with them, and to that extent it helps keep up the competitiveness of the costs and realizations of Indian industries. So now that's one perspective. The other perspective the central bank could have is that commodity prices are so low, particularly oil prices have dropped so sharply that a falling rupee is not an inflationary threat, not at least at this point of time. In fact, at this point of time, I don't think anybody is really worried about inflation. So from the angle of giving a push to the economy, just as lower interest rates play their part, I think a depreciated rupee also helps in terms of helping the domestic economic activity. So that could be a perspective which I'm sure the central bank would be keeping in mind. So I think it's very difficult to predict at what level they would come in.
Let's go across now and speak with industry and exporters in specific. Mr. Mittal, last year it was a completely different picture. You were crying because the rupee was appreciating. When it touched 38, we had lines of exporters outside the Commerce Ministry pleading their case, and now you've got the rupee at 52. Demand, though, has shrunk for exporters, but is this a significant amount of relief for you?
I think it is really a very, very positive thing which happened for exporters. We were losing when the dollar rupee was something like 40, 42, 45 even. This is giving us some relief from our losses, and we are able to compete with China, which is our biggest competitor today. As my friend said, Chinese yuan has not depreciated like rupee has depreciated. So it's definitely giving us an edge to compete with China, and I could see that textile sector, as far as concerned, we definitely have a movement as far as US and European markets are concerned. You see, one thing which is very, very important is this relief which is giving us is also important in one sense. In the depressing market, when the requirements have come down, we really have to not only maintain our share of exports, but rather we have to take the share of our competitor countries also, in case we want to export same quantum of goods what we were doing it earlier. So this particular phenomena which is happening at the present in the depressing market is definitely helping us to compete in the international market. And secondly, in my opinion, there is one more big help for the Indian industry also. Since imports are becoming expensive, Indian industry will also get a relief to compete with the imported stuff and produce more and more in this country. Therefore, in my opinion, today's situation is very good from all point of view, from import, from export, from labor employment. And I think if this kind of thing maintains at this level, for this particular year, Indian exporters should get relief and we should be able to come back what we are losing earlier.
Mr. Rajawade, very quickly, you spoke about the Asian currencies for a bit. Some experts are now calling it an artificial dollar rally because it's not just the Asian currencies, it's also euro and the yen that's going down.
Well, I wouldn't say it is artificial. I think what is happening is that there is a huge capital outflow from the Asian economies, both from the equity markets and also from the short-term debt market. The banks are not renewing short-term credit. The foreign portfolio investors are taking their money out. I think that is what is creating the demand for the dollar. So I think so long as the totality of the global financial system does not come to normality, I think this kind of a pressure may persist. It is also there very much in East Europe, as we are seeing that the flight of the euro capital from the Eastern European or Central European countries.
Right. Mr. Mittal, a very quick question to you, sir. Given the kind of volatility that we are seeing on the currency front, it's not just in India but also other Asian peers. How are you factoring this into your contracts at this point in time?
You see, as far as exporting community is concerned, we are factoring it that the currency will come down and might stay to a level of 47, 48. This is what we are thinking in our mind. And as a matter of fact, exporters really want currency to fluctuate in a very narrow band. We don't want fluctuation like this, that from 40 it goes to 50, from 50 it goes to 60 and drops back badly. You see, there's a very big fear when the rupee goes up. In that time, exporters will be again facing the same problem what we are facing it today, because it's not only one deal we are doing deal for years together, for months together.
All right, so trying times there as far as exporters are concerned, trying to gauge the mood of the rupee. But Mr. Rajawade, Mr. Mittal, many thanks for joining us this evening on Walk.